This is the new generation of the Mercedes CLA. So the appearance is definitely a little bit wider, and it is indeed wider, about 5 centimeters. So not only the total width, but also the track. So distance between the tires, that is supposed to give a little sportier ride. Of course, we'll soon find out on the driving event for that. You can also see that the headlamps had been changed. That's what they usually do with new generations, but also for facelifts. And I think it does look a little bit less sensual than before. So not so many swinging lines. A little bit cleaner in the design, I think. And definitely some resemblance to the A-Class sedan, but we can also show you how the A-Class sedan looks in the front. There you can see some of the differences there, and we're going to talk about more of the differences throughout the review, of course. You can see that the sensors will be hidden behind the big Mercedes star as usual, and there's also a front view camera if you want that. There's an option. 4.69 meters. 15'4" or 184 inches is the total length of the new CLA, and that's about 5 centimeters longer than the predecessor and 15 centimeters longer than the A-Class sedan. So that would be the length difference. So yes, it's a little bit longer than the A-Class sedan, but wait a minute. That's the length of a Mercedes C-Class. So the CLA is now as long, even 2 millimeters longer, well, as long as the Mercedes C-Class. So there the question is really, where is the difference? A-Class, sedan, CLA and the C-Class? Well, again, CLA is now 15 centimeters longer than the A-Class sedan. It has a little bit more design focus. You can see the roofline is a little bit lower, more, stronger shoulder in the back part. It doesn't have the, the typical coupe shape, so to say, but they name it coupe. And to the C-Class would be the main difference that the C-Class is the rear-wheel driven platform, whereas this one here is still the A-Class platform, so the front-wheel drive platform. Looking at the rear, well, to me it looks like a small CLS, because that one is definitely different than the A-Class sedan or the C-Class in the rear, which has those more vertical tail lamps. Those ones are clearly horizontal, and you can see everything looks very, very clean and streamlined. And by the way, the CD value, which is for the wind efficiency, is at 0.23, so that's pretty good result. And now here we have a different color for you, a red vehicle. This one is also the AMG line, so a little sportier. Also this one has the diamond pin grills in real diamond shape, so with a bright shape. The rear here is a really good example of the design strategy by Mercedes to reduce the amount of design lines for sure. The length is approximately at 1 meter, so that's the length of the trunk. And the same also counts for the width. So if we switch then to the width right here inside, that's also about 1 meter. So as for the capacity, let's just compare that a little bit, because the hatch of the A-Class is at 370 liters of a capacity. Then the A-Class sedan is at 420. And this one here is at 460 liters. So this one here has the biggest trunk as for the capacity, but it's, by the way, 10 liters less than the predecessor. So as for the engines, the CLA will also start with the A250 first. It is a 2-liter turbo petrol engine, 225 horsepower. We also find it in the A-Class and also in the B-Class. There will also be a 1.4-liter petrol available and also 1.6-liter diesel. Remember, the smaller engines there are all from the Renault Corporation. The bigger engines, like this 2-liter petrol, those are then the true Mercedes engines, if that plays a role for you in the purchase process. So let's take a look at the interior, and well, you have the frameless doors here, and well, you can argue if it's a coupe or not because it's 4-door, but you have definitely coupe style doors. Then of course, they raise it a little bit, and then when you open the door, There we go, they go down just a little bit. But now to the interior in the front. There's a leatherette cover at the inside of the doors. You can see here this is a matte aluminum style. You can get different trims for that. Here also in a black-white mix. You can see some contour stitches. There are plenty of choices you have. You can get a full fabric. You can also get a full leatherette, the so-called MB Tex or Artico, and then you can also get a mix of Dynamica microfiber on the inside and leatherette on the outside. This is, by the way, also the leatherette on the outside, and here you can see you cannot really differentiate what is what because this is the high-grade leatherette. This one does also have a panoramic roof. I have lowered the seat to the lowest position, with me being 1.86 m or 6'1". With the headroom it's quite close, so there's just a little bit left over my head, so you shouldn't be any taller than I am. Of course, those panoramic roofs, they always cost you a little bit of headroom, but it's still quite okay. This is the interior overview. You can see the horizontal stress of that. Looks pretty much premium for sure. Then, of course, with those digital instruments, all the gauges there too. See this perforated structure in the AMG style. It's also soft touch. Also the dashboard is covered with leatherette. Ambient lighting, you can also see that's very well done. Turbine vents, so pretty impressive for a compact size vehicle, which, well, it has a compact platform, but has mid-size in length for sure. You, by the way, you never have analog instruments, but you start with 7-inch screens as a base, and then you can put the right one to 10.25 inch, and then as a maximum setup 2 times 10.25 inch, this dual screen setup you can see right there. There are different controls available. So let me just first start. There is a touchscreen for the right one, so that does work in a way. Then you can use your right thumb like this to control the right screen. Also maybe like browse in the map or something, or go back again. And you can use your left thumb for the instruments to change what's going to be displayed right there. Also the GPS can be displayed too. And then you still have those classic instruments or classic controls, here in the middle part. This is also a touchpad. It gives you haptical feedback though. Then there's also a hotkey to go back, so you can also go do that while driving, but while driving it's better to use the thumb for sure. So that's this redundant concept. The climate unit is still separate in the lower parts, so we also have a nice clicking sound. Make it warmer or colder. So with those digital instruments on the left, you can have a little bit of choice right here. You can change the whole design, for example here to a rather sporty one. This one, the one we saw so far, was called Progressive. That one here, the sporty one, looks like this. So you can change the whole design for that. That's the one thing, or maybe even understated. That would be more, like this, or the very classic view that is more going to the normal MPH on the left. And well, right side you can also choose that GeForce meter, assistance system view, or also with the GPS. But you can also, for example, have the GPS then in the middle. So you can really customize it. And it's really flexible. That's the advantage of it. So here in the main infotainment unit, as I said, is also working via touch. And those ones, by the way, are new features they're introduced now. It's the seat kinetics. If you have that option, then it's not a real massage function. It's that the seat is adjusting just a little bit over time. It goes in the front a little bit up, maybe a little bit down again. The backrest goes a little bit back or a little bit in the front. That you have some movement while driving, and that is then better to stay a little bit more relaxed during the drive. This is one interesting function for sure. Again, most of the stuff is optional. Well, you can connect your phone via Bluetooth. It's the old school way, but then you can of course also connect your smartphone with a cable for the Apple CarPlay or the Android Auto. And by the way, the GPS is still working. Also the car GPS, also if you have CarPlay or Android Auto connected. So this one is then the car internal GPS. It has a very clear resolution. I can also control it with this right thumb mechanism. For example, you can see there's a route set at the moment. How fast it is reacting also always depends on the internet connection. And that also accounts for the thing I'm coming towards now, the voice activation. And you can activate it at the steering wheel, or you just say, "Hey Mercedes,
how can I help you?
I'm cold."
I'm sorry, I can't set the temperature at the moment.
So that's because the car is not properly turned on, but you can see you can control the temperature with the voice, for example. And now there's an update. So the first thing is that when you activate the voice activation and then someone else was talking, it was changing weird stuff. So they say it's only working now for your voice that has activated the command. And the second software update is that also no more complex stuff is supposed to work. Let's just try it out some. Hey Mercedes,
how can I help you?
How's the weather in Austin, Texas?
The weather is 77 degrees and cloudy in Austin, Texas.
That's pretty nice. So, what about the rear compartments? I mean, the car is longer than before, so one thing is, so far it was very cramped in the CLA rear, and because it's longer, you also then have a little bit more headroom. Well, but I still hit my head on the seating when I go upright, so that's also different. In the A-Class sedan, I can sit in the rear. That's just because the roofline here is falling down earlier. As for the knee room, that is actually quite okay. That's, because the car is a little bit longer now. And now to our conclusion for today with the all-new Mercedes CLA. I just wanted to say A-Class. Well, it's the same platform, so especially since there's now the A-Class sedan, there's no doubt the cars are not too different. Yes, there are some design tweaks, and I think if you compare this one here to the predecessor CLA, I think the predecessor CLA looked a little bit more sensual, a little bit more spectacular, a little bit more unique. However, just the rear here is more similar to the CLS, I think, so this is really somewhat a small CLS. I really like the all-new Mercedes A-Class sedan as for design. I personally like it a little bit more than the CLA now, but maybe it's just me. So I really want to have your take on that. Which one is your favorite now, the A-Class sedan or the CLA? Really looking forward to your comments right there. But no doubt, it's definitely a beautiful car. Also shown different versions, also some different colors. The interior now is fully digitalized, also with the big screens if you want to spend those money on those extra options. As for the space you have inside, it's quite okay in the front, but in the rear also okay as for the legroom, but the headroom is definitely cramped. That's the price you have to pay for this falling roof design, and therefore, for example, a Mercedes A-Class sedan is better. Well, as in the length it has also grown, and so it's the same size as the C-Class, and that, I mean, it is also a little bit strange, the whole model policy, because they have so many small niches, and it's really hard also for the customer to really understand, wait a minute, which car is for what? But I think with this video we could give you some more hints to where to position this car and what are the differences between the A sedan, the CLA and the C-Class sedan. I think it's just important to point out those small differences when you, for example, plan the purchase, or also if you're just interested in the small difference, in the small nuances.